I've spent over 1,000 hours studying the best AI agencies in the world, from people signing their very first client all the way up to agencies doing $500,000 a month. And I'm not studying this from the outside. I run multiple agencies myself, one doing over $1 million a year quite easily. I have more than 80 active clients across all of my agencies right now. Millions of cold emails going out every single month, thousands of calls being booked. On top of that, I've helped over 150 people start their own AI agency and scale past $10,000 a month from completely zero. Every lesson I'm about to give you is tactical and specific, something you can use this week. So let's not waste any time and let's get straight into it. Lesson 1. Before I start anything, before I invest my time and effort, I always study the direct competition very closely. So I studied the best AI agencies I could find, and the first thing I noticed is how boring they are. None of them are trying to change the world or reinvent the wheel. They just improve simple, repeatable processes over and over. Everyone starting a business wants the exciting service, the custom agent, the voice caller, the automation that does everything and completely takes over marketing or sales. Even when I talk about it, it sounds amazing, but in practice, it doesn't hold up. So it's brutal to build and even more brutal to sell, because everyone can see through the smoke and mirrors. They can tell the thing underneath is flawed, because the person you are selling to has to see the result and the ROI in what you're putting in front of them. And if it doesn't work in a perfect curated demo the way you promised, it is never going to work in the real world. And they can see that too. A boring service skips that whole problem. For example, an automation that sends personalized outreach and saves your sales team hours a day, or a system that turns your long-form content into short-form scripts and posts for every other platform, so you get more reach without any extra work. The client gets it in one sentence, and if it solves a problem they are dealing with right now, of course they want it. The demand is sitting right there. So how do you pick yours? How do you pick your service? There are two questions. Does it solve a problem business owners are actually struggling with? And does it make them more money? Because if your service doesn't make them a return on what they pay you, it's going to be an uphill battle to sell every single time. For example, I run a lead generation business where I automate the outreach for other companies. And as you can see right here, this business is doing around $300,000 a month, simply because it solves a problem every business has. The pool of potential clients is massive, and it makes them money directly by getting them more leads, more calls, and effectively more clients. So you don't have to invent the service. Better yet, I firmly believe that you shouldn't. Take a service that already works, use AI to do it faster and cheaper than anyone else, and you'll sell it all day long. So let's say you've landed on a service. The next mistake almost everyone makes is how they pitch it in a sales call. They sell the mechanism. I build AI systems, I set up automations, I'll create an agent. Let me quickly burst your bubble. Nobody is interested in the underlying tech. They only care about what it gets them. More sales calls, more revenue, hours back for them and their team. So stop describing what you do and start describing what they get. Sell them their own dream outcome. The formula I use: we get you results using mechanism in time frame without something they hate. Now fill it in with the same lead gen example. We book 10 qualified sales calls on your calendar by identifying your ideal customers, building targeted lists, and running personalized outreach campaigns in 30 days without you paying a cent unless calls actually show up. The result is the outcome they actually dream about. The mechanism is how you do it, framed to sound different from whatever they've already tried or thought about. The time frame tells them when, so it feels real and not just something that's completely open-ended. And the without removes the one thing holding them back. Here it is the risk. They don't pay unless it works. The way you formulate this offer is the single most important thing in your whole sales process. It goes on your landing page, it goes in your outreach. Every piece of content you make is built around it. Understand this difference and selling gets a whole lot easier because now you're selling people the exact thing they already wish for. Here is something that nobody tells you. Two services can make the client the exact same amount of money, and one will be 10 times harder to sell than the other. So before I commit to anything, I run it through 3 questions. These 3 decide how hard your life is going to be every single time you pitch. One has to do with risk. What does the client stand to lose? This is the first thing they weigh, whether they say it out loud or not. Some services you can only sell on a retainer or a big payment upfront. So the client is handing a stranger, essentially, money every month and just hoping it works out. That is as scary as it sounds. Other services let you flip it completely. You only pay me or you only pay them when it works. Now the client is risking nothing and the yes gets easy. You have to understand that the less the client stands to lose, the faster they say yes. Now, whether you can even offer something pay per performance depends on the third thing that we'll cover. So hold that thought for now. 2 has to do with speed. How fast do they see a result? Cold email, the running example of this video, can book calls in the first 2 weeks. Organic content can take 6 months before anything moves, if it ever does. Put yourself in the client's seat. Would you rather see proof in 14 days or pay every month for months and hope it pays off somewhere down the line? Fast results close the deal easier and they keep the client paying once you've got them. Slow results mean you are defending your invoice every month while they wait to see some results showing up. Number 3, it has to do with control. How much control do you have over the result? This is the one that ties it all together. With cold email, I control the output. I send X amount of emails, I get Y amount of replies, and I book set amount of calls. If I want more calls, I send more emails. It is math, and I can tune every part of the workflow. With content, I can post every single day and still get nothing because the algorithm decides who sees it and the audience decides if they actually care for the content. More than half of that process is out of my hands and there's barely anything I can tweak. Now, here is why this matters most. When you control the output, you can promise a specific number with a straight face. And when you can promise a number, you can say, pay me only when I hit it. That is the one low risk from point 1. The control is what makes the de-risked offer possible in the first place. So run my lead gen service through all 3. The client risks nothing because I only get paid when calls show up. They see those calls in weeks and I control the volume completely, 3 for 3, and each one feeds the next. That is why it is the easiest thing that I have ever sold and why I've watched more beginners win with it than any other service I have ever seen. Now, before you fall in love with a service, run it through these 3 questions. Can the client pay only when it works? Do they see results fast? Do you control the outcome? The more yeses, the easier every sale will be. All no's, and it doesn't really matter how good you are as a salesman. You're pushing a boulder uphill with no name behind you. All right, let's clear up what an AI agency actually is, because most people have it backwards. They think it means you sell AI. Well, you don't. An AI agency is just a normal service business where AI does the work that used to take a whole team of people. That is the entire shift You take a service that already works and already sells, and you use AI and automation to deliver it faster, cheaper, and with a fraction of the people the old agencies needed. Take my lead gen. The old way, you'd need a room full of staff, someone building lead lists, someone writing the emails, someone sending and following up, someone sorting through the replies. Now, AI scrapes the leads, AI enriches them, AI writes the message for every single prospect, the system sends, follows up, and screens the replies on its own. By the time a human touches anything, it's already a booked call on the calendar. And this is where the actual money is. You charge the client for the result. AI delivers most of it for next to nothing. You keep the difference. That gap between what they pay you and what it costs to deliver, that gap is the whole margin of the business. A normal agency bleeds most of that gap out in salaries. You don't, so it stays in your own pocket. And that is how I run 80 plus active clients at any given time without a room full of staff behind me. So here's a question to add when you are picking your service. Not just can I sell this, can AI fulfill this? Because if AI can do the work, your margins are going to be fat and you can take on more clients without hiring an army. And don't stop at the client work. Point the exact same thing at your own business. Every repeatable task you do, your own outreach, your follow-ups, your reporting, your onboarding, automate it from the start. The leaner you run as a business, the more of that spread you keep and the more clients you can hold before anything breaks. The whole game is to stay small and keep the margins. The best part about this is it gets easier every month. The thing that needed a hire last year needs a prompt in Cloud Code this year. So this edge isn't shrinking, it is actually growing. And the people building their agency around it right now are the ones who win in the next few years. Let's talk about what happens the moment your outreach starts working. A prospect reads your email, gets a little interested, and does the one thing that everybody does. They Google you, they click your LinkedIn, they look for your website. If they find nothing or a profile like this, the deal is dead right there and then. Doesn't matter how good the email was, an empty profile and no website tells them you are a nobody and they move on without ever replying. So before you send a single email, you build the bare minimum that makes you pass that check. And it's just two things. First, a landing page could be anything like this. It's just a mock-up, clean page that says who you help, the result you get them, and shows a bit of proof. This is going to be your home base, the link you point everyone to. Second is your LinkedIn. Around 80% of B2B leads from social run through LinkedIn. So it's the first place where they'll land. A banner that says what you do and who you help. A headline that's clear, a few posts so it doesn't look abandoned. It needs to look like someone who's actually in business, not just an empty shell as I showed you before. That is it. You're not building an audience here. You're not trying to go viral. You're making sure that when an interested prospect checks you out, and they will, I'll promise you, you look like a real business worth replying to. Instead of a stranger, they should actually ignore. Set up the landing page, build out the profile, then you've passed the check and you're ready to actually start reaching out. Every guru tells you the same thing: post content, build an audience, and wait for the leads to roll in. But that is the slowest possible way to start. You'll post for 6 months, talk to nobody, and quit before a single client ever shows up. Outreach, what I've been preaching all over this channel, is the opposite. You don't wait for clients to find you. You go to them today. You can send your first email this afternoon and have replies in your inbox tomorrow. That's why it's the only thing I tell a beginner to start with. It is the one channel that pays you this month instead of someday, maybe. And the reason it works is that it's just math. Let me show you. Say you send 10,000 cold emails in a month. Even at a low reply rate, 2 or 3%. That is 2 to 300 replies, hundreds of conversations with business owners you'd never have reached otherwise. A chunk of those turn into calls. A chunk of those calls turn into clients. You are not hoping the algorithm blesses you. You decide the volume, and the volume decides the number of clients. Now, obviously, content still has its place. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making any content. It compounds quietly in the background, and one day it brings leads to you. But that day is months out. Outreach feeds you now. So you start with a thing that puts a client on your calendar this week, and you let the slow stuff build while it does. People always ask why I'd put all of this in a free video. If I'm telling you everything, why would anyone ever pay me? Well, there's two reasons. First, this isn't my only source of income. As you know, my agencies make money on their own. I don't need to hold back the good stuff to protect some course, so I don't. I'd rather show you what actually works and what's genuinely possible, and then let the results speak. Second, and this is the real one, information was never the thing people pay for. Execution is. Think about everything I've handed you so far, the kind of service to pick, the offer formula, the outreach system that fills your calendar. That is the what and the why, completely free. But there is a massive gap between knowing all that and actually running it. Building the systems, getting the automations live, writing the campaigns, troubleshooting when something breaks at 11 p.m. and you've got no one to ask for help. That gap is where almost everyone stalls out and quits. Not because they didn't know what to do, but because doing it alone is hard. That gap is exactly what I built Scaling Systems to close. It is the room where you actually run this with the systems already built, the templates ready to go, the automations done for you, and the people grinding on it right next to you so you're never stuck. I share the playbook for free. Scaling Systems is then where you go to actually execute it. Link is in the description if you want it. And if you don't, that's of course fine too. Most of the information is available for free on YouTube anyways. You just have to figure it out yourself, which can be months or weeks at a minimum. Now, this next one goes against what every online coach is shouting right now. They all say guarantees are dead, don't de-risk, just be confident. For someone starting out with no name, that advice is completely backwards. It is the fastest way to never sign anyone. Here's the trap you're actually in if you're starting out. You reach out to a stranger. You've got no case studies, no testimonials, nothing. And you're asking them for money. The only thought in their head is, can I lose here? And since you can't answer it because you've got nothing to point to, so they pause. No proof means no client. No client means no proof ever. So you're stuck in a loop. And most beginners sit in it for months and then give up and move on to the next business model as if the one they're in currently would have never worked anyways. Now, you break the loop by taking the risk off the table completely. You don't ask them to trust you. You make it so they literally cannot lose anything. Remember from earlier, because you control the output, you can promise a number. So you tie your pay to that number. Performance-based, they cover a small tech fee to get set up. And after that, you only get paid when a result actually lands. A real call on our calendar, no calls, no payment. Now look at the decision from their side. There's nothing left to be scared of. You've moved all of the risk onto yourself. The yes that used to be impossible becomes easy because saying no doesn't protect them from anything anymore. And yes, you are carrying the risk now. That is exactly right. At this stage of your business, your job isn't to squeeze the most amount of money out of the deal. It is to get in the door and start delivering your first projects. Because here is what that first deal actually gets you. You deliver the result, and now you've got the one thing that you were missing, proof, a real client, a real outcome you can point to. That case study is worth a lot more to you in the long run because the next prospect is easier, the one after that, easier still. And once the proof stacks up, it starts doing the selling for you, so you don't have to give the risk reversal away forever. That is the whole move. Remove the risk to get in the door, deliver, let the proof take over. You go from begging strangers to trust you to having results that speak before you actually do yourself. Now, most people think the sale happens on the call, that if they just say the right things in the moment, they'll close the deal. It doesn't really work like that. By the time someone is sitting on a call with you, they've mostly already decided whether you are legit. The call just confirms what they already think. Because think about everything they saw before they ever booked that call in the first place. Your outreach, your landing page, your LinkedIn, any content of yours they came across. If all of it was clean, consistent, and pointed at one clear result, they show up already believing you can deliver. Otherwise, they wouldn't waste their time. The trust is built before you say a word. If it was sloppy or scattered or said 3 different things, you would spend the whole call climbing out of a hole, and usually you don't make it. This is exactly why your online presence matters as much as it does. It's not just about passing a lookup check. Every single thing a prospect consumes about you is either building value in their head or quietly killing it long before the sales call ever happens. Now, if you've done that part right, the call almost always comes down to one thing: price. They already believe you can get them the result. The only question left is whether it's worth what you're charging. And here's the thing about price. It is never actually about the number. It is about value. If a client clearly sees that what you do is worth far more than what you're asking, the price stops being a problem. So your job on the call isn't to defend your price. It is to make the value impossible to miss. You don't talk about the work you do. You talk about what the result is worth to them. If the 10 extra calls a month you book, if lead gen is your service, turns into 2 new clients worth 30 grand to their business, then a few thousand for your service isn't expensive. It is a no-brainer. So put the price next to the value and the price shrinks. So you don't win the call with some clever line in the moment. You win it by being consistent across everything they saw before it and by anchoring your price to the value once you're on the sales call. Now, before starting any business, some people burn weeks stuck on one question: what do I charge? It is actually the wrong question because there isn't one number. There is a ladder, and which rung you're on depends on one thing, which is your authority. How many results you can point to, how known you are, how much you sound like you've done this before. Low authority, you start at the bottom. As it climbs, you climb. Let me give you the actual rungs with actual numbers. Rung 1 is performance only, so no proof yet. So this is where you start. The client pays a small tech fee, call it $500 just for an easy example, to cover domains and inboxes and lead data. Once again, the running example for this video is a lead generation agency. And then $200 to $500 per call that actually shows up. They risk nothing. You eat the risk because right now you are the one who has to prove it. Rung number 2 is money upfront with a guarantee. You've got a couple of results now, so you charge a real retainer, say $3,000 a month, but you back it. Don't book the calls. I promised you get your money back. You're collecting cash upfront, so it's already a lot calmer on your end, but the client is still protected. Rung 3, a low retainer plus a bonus on results. A smaller base fee that covers you plus extra when you hit the number. The proof you've built makes that base fee feel fair. Rung 4 is a flat retainer, no guarantee at all, just a monthly fee for the work you deliver. You can only pull this off once your name carries enough weight that people trust the track record alone. And then rung 5, where the money really starts to flow in, is a healthy retainer plus performance on top. This is where the best agencies live. A solid base that guarantees your income plus bonuses when you deliver. You're not carrying all the risk like rung 1, and the client likes it because part of your pay is tied directly to the results you deliver. Both sides win when the work works. Now, here's the part that most people get wrong. Climbing the ladder isn't always about charging more. Watch this. For example, rung 1 is performance only. 20 calls booked at $400 each is $8,000 a month. A flat retainer at rung 4 might be $3,000. The bottom rung can pay you more than a higher one. So the ladder isn't really about the dollar amount going up. It is just about who the deal favors. At the bottom, it is built to protect the client. At the top, it is built to protect you. Predictable income, cash upfront, less risk on your side. Rung 5 is the only one built to favor both. So please, in my DMs, stop asking what you should charge. Start where your authority lets you. Deliver, turn those results into proof, and let the proof walk you up the ladder. Trying to charge a flat $2,000 a month with zero proof is exactly how you stay stuck with no clients. Starting at performance only is how you land the first one that unlocks every rung above it. This is where most agencies quietly die, and they never even see it coming. They get pretty good at signing. They land the client, deliver okay, and 2 months later, that client is gone. So they're right back at square one, chasing the next one to replace them. And the thing is, signing clients is the most expensive part, the most exhausting part of this whole business. These people are paying that cost over and over, running flat out just to stay in the same place. It is what you can call a treadmill. The agencies that actually scale, they do the opposite. They treat the day someone pays as the start of the real work, not the finish line. They obsess over the first 2 weeks. Onboarding that's clean and makes the client feel like they made the right call, and one quick early win fast, so the client sees the thing working with their own eyes before any doubt ever creeps in. That first stretch is what decides whether they stay 1 month or 12. And the math is the whole point. A client you keep compounds. They pay you again next month for work you've already built the system for. So it costs you a fraction of the effort the second, 5th, 10th month. Now stack those. 10 retained clients means you start every month already up instead of waking up on the first with 0 and a treadmill to climb. That is the difference between an agency that grows and one that just survives. So getting good at signing clients gets you started, but keeping them is what actually builds the business. Sign them with the system from this video, then keep them and let your agency's revenue compound. So those are the lessons, the same ones I learned building my agencies. Pick a boring service that already makes people money. Sell the result, not the tech. Take the risk off the table so a stranger can actually say yes. Deliver, stack the proof, climb the pricing ladder, and keep the clients you sign to any cost so it compounds instead of resetting to 0 every month. None of it is exciting. That is exactly why it works. But like I said earlier, there is a massive gap between knowing this stuff and actually doing it. That gap is the reason most people watch a video like this, feel fired up for a day, and never sign a single client. If you want help crossing it, that is what Scaling Systems is for. Link is in the description. You get everything from picking your service all the way to signing and keeping clients. The system is already built, templates, the automations, and a room full of people doing it right alongside you. Over 850 people have come through in the past year. Over 150 of them scaled past 10K a month, most starting from absolutely nothing, no experience at all. If that is not proof that this can work for you too, I truly don't know what is. Either way, you walk away with the full playbook today, so go and use it. Please do yourself a favor. I will see you guys in the next video.